All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's episode of Roundabout Sports, presented by Filthy Games Room, located at 3479 Newtown Boulevard in St. Charles, Missouri, and by Interstate 70 Sports Media, where our passion is our profession. Thank you so much, folks. It is a cold and wet Wednesday, November 13th, 2024. It is episode 100 of Roundabout Sports. I'm the Maestro, Jeremy Carr. And there's something, as you can see, Babs is not here this evening. She had family obligations to take care of, but we look forward to having her back next week. It's going to be a little abbreviated show this evening. First, I want to say that be sure to subscribe and follow us on Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Pocket Casts, and anywhere else that you listen to your podcasts. We're also on YouTube. We're also on Facebook. We are all over the place, folks. And we got a lot. There's a big, interesting topic I want to talk about today. Might take up the whole show, might not, but it's definitely something that's on my mind. Okay, so next year I'll be 30. And you might wonder, well, what the hell does that have to do with anything? Well, the reason I say this is because growing up as a kid, growing up a huge football fan, growing up the main dynasty, I mean, yeah, we had the greatest show on turf for about 3 or 4, 5 years. But growing up, the main dynasty, of course, was the New England Patriots dynasty of the 2000s and 2010s. So basically, the first 20, a good 20 years of my life was about the Patriots dominating the NFL. And everybody hated them. Everybody hated the New England Patriots, except for New England Patriots fans. And you wondered why. Aside from, of course, the cheating scandals and everything like that. Well, I think back to a quote from Killer Mike. Killer Mike always said, "I prefer a villain to a false hero." The Patriots were villains because they were dominant. They were the top dogs in the NFL for so long. They had arguably the greatest quarterback of all time leading the helm, arguably one of the greatest head coaches of all time leading the helm, in Bill Belichick. And, they had the second perfect regular. Well, they went, excuse me, they went 17-1. They almost went, or 18-1. Whatever the case may be, they lost the Super Bowl during the 2007 season, which cost them that truly perfect season. And we thought, okay, well, after the undefeated season, surely that the Patriots wouldn't win anymore. They kept winning. And, we look at the New England Patriots. The Patriots won 6 titles, folks. They won in 2002, 2004, 2005, 2015, 2017, and 2019. Now, on top of that, in that dynasty, they won 9 total American Football Conference championships. Because they had made the Super Bowl in 1985 and they had made it in 1996, I believe. So, of course, and yes, in that dynasty time, the Patriots lost 3 Super Bowls as well. But the fact they made the dance is still crazy enough. So all we waited for all those years was a team to finally end the Patriots dynasty. And finally, it was the wild card game in 2020. Tom Brady threw a pick 6 against the Titans in a wild card round, and just like that, the dynasty was over. And the Patriots right now are absolute trash. I mean, New England Patriots are currently in 4th place in their division at 3-7. This was unheard of for most of my childhood, if you could imagine. So it brings me to my next topic. What about the Kansas City Chiefs? Well, When one dynasty fades, another one has to come in. Enter the Chiefs. Now, you want to talk about escaping with a win, even if it's at your own stadium? That was exactly what the Chiefs did just a few days ago against the Denver Broncos, where Denver led most of the game. A late Travis Kelce touchdown gave the Chiefs a 16-14 lead. Denver goes down the field. Will Lutz is right there. He's ready to make that game-winning field goal with 1 second left. It's not even that long of a field goal. We're not going to act like it was a 59-yarder. And instead, it got blocked. And the crowd went absolutely berserk at Arrowhead. And you take a look at the fact that this is just kind of the icing on the cake for what is now the Chiefs becoming the new NFL villains, the new big dogs. And you may say, well, they're just 9-0, but they have won 3 Super Bowls in the past 5 years. They won in 2019, and they've gone back to back since. And they're a heavy favorite to win this year. A lot of people are predicting them in the Detroit Lions. Who put that on your bingo card? And I want to go back to early in May. Patrick Mahomes was on the Impulsive podcast, hosted by Jake and Logan Paul. And he says, this year was definitely the more villain-type role for the whole team. And he remembers when Kansas City escaped Buffalo with the 27-24 victory in the divisional round. And over 40,000 people were just flipping the Chiefs off the whole way out through the entrance tunnels and everything. And just that atmosphere. And it's funny because this week is when the Chiefs and Bills are set to meet again. And the Chiefs and Bills has become one of the most heated rivalries in the league. It's become one of the most fun games to watch. We've seen some fantastic battles between these two teams. And Buffalo, I want to keep in mind, Buffalo's 8-2. They're off to their best start since 1993. So we take a look at the Chiefs. Why is it that they are this whole villainous thing? And it's the same reason that the Patriots are. Like all dynasties in sports, the Chiefs used to become fan favorite underdogs. Look, the Chiefs went from being absolute trash over in the 2000s and 2010s. Then Alex Smith hands the reins over to Patrick Mahomes, and Mahomes, who nobody thought, nobody was saying that he'd be a bust, but they would not believe the amount of success. If you go back to 2017, the amount of success that Pat Mahomes has shown, crazy. He could retire tomorrow and he would still be a Hall of Famer. I mean, that's all there is to it. But after 3 Super Bowl titles in 5 years, the Chiefs are viewed as the NFL's new villains outside of Kansas City, of course. And these days, especially, the words dynasty and villain kind of go hand in hand together. I don't think the Rams really had sustained enough success to have that tag added to them. The Packers are consistently perennial playoff contenders, but when Aaron Rodgers was at the helm, they kind of just choked in the playoffs for the most part. The Dallas Cowboys have claimed to be America's team for the past 50 years, and they haven't won anything in the past 30. So you take a look at the Kansas City Chiefs. Look, 5 years ago, Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and the rest of this team were newcomers to the whole playoff. And don't be wrong, Andy Reid's always been a great coach, but he got the shaft in Philly. We didn't know his future. And this team just, they went from being the lovable underdog to kind of the cocky villains. And, they were slight underdogs in this Super Bowl against the Niners this past season. And they won the Super Bowl with just a few seconds left in overtime. They were slight underdogs against the Eagles. They won that game with just a few seconds left in regulation. Whatever way you want to slice it, no lead is safe against the Kansas City Chiefs. They will always find ways to win. Normally, it's been because of their offense, but this year it's been because of their defense. Look, I'm not going to go out and kind of sugarcoat it. Pat Mahomes is not having a good year. Travis Kelce's not having a good year. The Chiefs' offense as a whole, in comparison to what they've been, are not having a good season. And yet they are 9-0. They beat Buffalo this week. They're 10-0. And I mean, I want to make this clear. I want to put out the Chiefs' schedule here. So we're going to put out here. So we're going to skip the preseason, of course. They beat the Ravens by a touchdown. They beat the Bengals by a point. They beat the Falcons by 5 points. The Chargers by a touchdown. The Saints by less than 2 touchdowns. The 49ers by 10 points. The Raiders by a touchdown. The Buccaneers in overtime by 6 points. And the Broncos with the block kick with 1 second left on the clock, and they beat them by 2 points. None of these have been blowout victories. And the only reason the Saints game was a 13-point game was really because the Saints were full of injuries, and the Chiefs did the smart thing and hold the time of possession in their favor. So if you want to be honest, none of these games have been blowouts for Kansas City. And they got the Bills, they got the Panthers, and look, Panthers are not a great team by any stretch of the means, but they're on a little bit of a streak going. Another Raiders and Chargers games. You got the game against the Browns in Cleveland. You got the Texans. You got the Steelers and the Broncos. All of those have the potential of being close games. But also, all of those have the potential to be a Chiefs victory. Once again, it boils back down to the fact that people just don't like seeing the Chiefs keep winning. Then you get to another reason, and this is kind of the whole elephant in the room, if you will. Why another reason that the Kansas City Chiefs, who, aren't, it's not like they're bad guys on the team, but you wonder why, the Kansas City Chiefs are becoming the big villains, and why fans are fed up with the NFL at this current moment. And I can only show it with one picture. Taylor Swift and the celebrity power that she brings to the NFL. Okay, so let me address this for those 5 people that don't happen to know this, but Taylor Swift is arguably the most famous person in the world, celebrity-wise, musician-wise. I mean, she is at the top. Time Person of the Year, fantastic. And she is dating Future Hall of Famer and star tight end for the Chiefs, Travis Kelce. And ever since they started dating, she's been at all the Chiefs games, and of course, all the cameras on CBS and whatever network they're going to be on, pan to Taylor Swift. The fans get frustrated. They don't want to see Taylor Swift on every game. But guess what? You're going to. It generates money. It generates attention. And the NFL's a business first. I'm sorry. Yeah, we love football, but the NFL is a business first. And I mean, at that point, what you going to do? You can't tell them. The NFL's not going to just stop showing her. Even if, they break up, in which they're not, I don't at least think. So you have that factor. You have the dominance of the Chiefs as a team factor. You have the Taylor Swift and the over exploiting of her on television. Then you got questionable on-field calls. Okay. This is an interesting one. Are the Chiefs getting calls in their favor more than other teams? All signs point to yes. And, you watch on the replays, Chiefs will have two men in motion and they won't call it. Another team does the same thing and they'll call the flag. Chiefs have a hold or a false start or a face mask that doesn't get called. But it'll get called on the other team. And teams get very frustrated with this. And of course, those teams' fan bases do, because of course they feel like their team's getting screwed just because it's the Kansas City Chiefs. People always used to say, people that I grew up with, that Tom Brady was the NFL's golden boy. Well, just like people say LeBron's the NBA's golden boy. Well, at this point, the Kansas City Chiefs as a team are the NFL's golden boys, the golden team, if you will. Because quite frankly, look, there are teams that benefit from extra calls here and there, but I feel like many out there feel that it's getting absolutely ridiculous from the standpoint of the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I wanted to go back. According to Action Network, this came in prior to the Super Bowl this past season. In nearly 90% of their regular season games, the Kansas City Chiefs were favored by betting prospects to win their games. Let me tell you something. In the last 6 seasons, the Kansas City Chiefs, that's the last 100 games, the Chiefs went 81-19. Now, if you're going to, I mean, why wouldn't you be frustrated? If you're a team, shoot, let's go with the Raiders. Raiders have definitely not gone 81-19 over the past 6 seasons. Definitely not been a perennial playoff contender or a Super Bowl team. And you have to watch the Chiefs just constantly give your team hell. Of course that you are going to be upset as a fan and feel that the NFL, and I hate having to say this, but you're going to feel that the NFL is rigged, which that is a whole different, I'm not getting into that. I'm really not. I could do a whole different show just based off that, trust me. But my dad says he would rather show Taylor Swift than Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones is the absolute. I'm going to get into Jerry Jones later on because he doesn't involve the Chiefs on this, but I do have to say something. So anyway, it is fun to root for the underdog, and even more fun when the little guy comes out on top. But for the past 6 damn years, or almost 7, The Chiefs have been Goliath. And the other 31 teams in this league have been David. I mean, blowouts or not, the Chiefs are the ones that are emerging victorious. Denver had every reason to win that game. Tampa Bay had every reason to win that game. Vegas had every reason to win that game. All these teams, the 49ers, all these teams had every reason to win their games. Oh, and Jimmy Harris from the Independent St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame. Thank you so much, Jimmy, for tuning in as always. For those that are just tuning in, it's episode 111 of Roundabout Sports, and I'm talking about what has gone on with the Kansas City Chiefs as far as them becoming the villains of the NFL and how we have just gotten to this point. And as I said, it's mainly just because, we have the Taylor Swift factor. We have the just constantly winning, the oversaturation. Oversaturation of anything is a bad thing. It goods and services, oversaturation is bad. Oversaturation of businesses is bad. And that's exactly where we're at here with the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, this is where the next question comes up. I've had people ask me this. Okay, so you're a Cleveland Browns fan. I'm like, yep. And they said, well, say the Browns win the Super Bowl. First off, I would love that before I die, preferably. Whether that happens before my funeral, hell, I don't know. But they said, what if the Browns went on a hot streak like the Chiefs have? Win 3 Super Bowls in 5 years. Wouldn't you get tired of it? And I'll be honest, maybe it's just because I haven't seen them win a championship. They haven't won a championship since 1964, 2 years before the Super Bowl. So, I don't know what that would be like. That's a tough answer. In some ways, yes, I would be annoyed seeing it. I always love to be kept on my toes when it comes to watching football. But on the other hand, of course not. I would freaking love seeing my favorite team. But keep in mind, I never said Kansas City fans are treating them like the villains. Good Lord, I got friends in Kansas City that are ecstatic beyond belief that the Chiefs are doing as amazing as they are. And that's even considering how great the Royals did this year. They didn't care. Hell, look at the Chiefs. So yeah. It comes down to the oversaturation, and it's a team you don't. I also think the personalities come down to it. I personally don't think that. I mean, there's personality issues when it comes to Chiefs players speaking out in public, but I mean, there's a lot of off-field issues with guys on the team, like what's been going on with Rashee Rice. But I look at what's going on, and I say to myself, there's been a lot worse that's happened in the NFL to other teams with players involved. People don't hate them. So I guess the question is, are the Chiefs bigger villains now than the Patriots were when I was a kid? And the answer is no. They're not at that point yet. But they're getting there. And I'll tell you why. The biggest reason the Chiefs are getting closer, it's not because of the 3 Super Bowls. It's not because of the Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce drama. Or it's not even drama. It's just them being, their relationship being exposed to the public. And it's not because any off-field issues any players might have. The reason the Chiefs are getting closer and closer to becoming as big, if not bigger, villains than the New England Patriots were during their dynasty is because of us. Because of social media. Look, when the Patriots won their first Super Bowl, Facebook, they didn't. Okay, so Patriots won their first Super Bowl for the 2011 season. Or 2001 season, I'm sorry. They didn't have a Facebook then. 2004, 2005, Facebook was just starting out. It wasn't until their second half of Super Bowl runs that social media really started to take off. But you look at over a decade of NFL dominance for the Patriots before the large onset of social media platforms that billions of people are on constantly. That is the ultimate downfall, because defamation, slander, all of it is faster and easier to access and create now more than ever, which is dangerous. So while you could watch the Patriots beat the Rams in the last second back in the 01-02 season, you have fans that maybe the next day at work or who are reading the paper the next day are pissed off about it, or watch it live on SportsCenter. Nowadays, people are live tweeting everything about it and how frustrating it is. And to me, that's the biggest X factor, is no pun intended, but it is the X factor. And the Facebook factor, and the Instagram factor, the TikTok factor, all of that. Hell, the YouTube factor. It is just so easy to slander any team, any player, and fans are going to break down, or are going to try to tear down the Chiefs just because they're winning a lot. But when it all comes down to it, whatever the case may be, the Kansas City Chiefs have become the NFL's big-time villains. And look, if Patrick Mahomes has already thrown 6 interceptions on the season, and they're still 9-0, Pacheco's hurt, Hollywood Brown's hurt, Rashee Rice has all kinds of issues. Besides his off-field stuff, he had his injury. And if you want to take all that, and you're telling me the Chiefs aren't the villains at 9-0, you're out of your mind. Because right now, there's only one other team in the league there's no other team that's undefeated. There's only one other team with less than 2 losses, and that's the Lions. And the Lions don't play them in the regular season, so the only way we'll see them is if they faced off in the Super Bowl. God help us if that happens, because that is going to be a bloodbath. So that is what I wanted to say to really talk about during this half of the show. Like I said, it's an abbreviated show, so we still got a few more minutes. But before we continue on with some quick hits, I wanted to say, I want to talk about our friends over at Filthy Games Room. Filthy Games Room is located at 3479 Newtown Boulevard in St. Charles, Missouri, right by 370. Filthy Games Room has the largest collection of retro and modern video games in the St. Louis metropolitan area, ranging from the Magnavox Odyssey to the Nintendo GameCube. To the Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X, as well as stuff from Nintendo GameCubes, PlayStation 2s, Wii's, PSPs, you name it. There's all kinds of stuff. You can be a part of their Patreon program to get up to 10% off on video game prices and free shipping. And they also have monthly contests to win rare titles when it comes to video games as well. And I tell you, Ben Bizzle, he does a very good job. He works very hard. So that's Filthy Games Room at 3479 Newtown Boulevard in St. Charles, Missouri. with that said, folks, we are back here on Roundabout Sports. It is episode 111. I'm the Maestro, Jeremy Carb. Once again, like I said earlier, Babs is not here. She's got some family events that she is taking part in, and she'll be back next week. Okay, I want to say one thing about Jerry Jones of the Dallas Cowboys. All right, this I just have to get it off my chest. So the Dallas Cowboys recently signed a 4-year, $240 million contract for Dak Prescott to be, Dallas's main franchise guy. Well, the Cowboys have not gotten to the NFC title game in Dak's career. They've struggled mightily in the playoffs. And get this, folks. Even though in September they signed Dak Prescott to this contract, for some reason, Jerry Jones basically went out and said yesterday that they weren't winning with Dak. And I'm thinking to myself, well, yeah, but it's not really Dak's fault with the amount of injuries. And they have no problem paying $240 million for Dak Prescott, but they said affording Derrick Henry, who's arguably the best running back in the league and one of the best players in the NFL in general, was asking for too much money. Yeah, okay. Okay, Jerry. Look, I've been around a lot of people that are older of age. Jerry Jones has lost his damn mind. He is absolutely gone senile or something. Like throwing this team under the bus, over the bus, off the bus, on the roof, running them over with the bus. Whatever it is that's possible, he has done it. He's also built a $1+ billion stadium that he forgot to realize has spots where the sun can still get in the stadium and blind their players, because CeeDee Lamb dropped a touchdown pass in their 34-6 loss last week that was right in his hands. Right here. And what happens? He drops it. Which is fine because I can't stand the Cowboys, but he drops it because the sun was in his eyes. And in that regard, I do actually feel a little bad for him. Feel more bad for him playing on the Cowboys, but, to each their own. So, yeah. Also, I want to give a shout out. We're going to go to the world of college football because we still have some undefeated teams in the world of college football. And there is some interesting names. Look, number 1, Oregon is 10-0. This was the first time since it was a long time ago. Last time they finished undefeated was in 1916. Next, you have number 5, Indiana. Last time they were undefeated was 1945. Last time they were undefeated, last time number 6, BYU was undefeated, 1984 when they won the national championship. And then last but not least, probably the most fun one to see, undefeated and ranked 9-0 at number 24 in the nation, the Army Black Knights. They are 9-0, and the last time they finished undefeated was 1958 when they went 8-0 and 1 tie. They hold the longest win streak in college football with 13 straight wins. Okay, you know what? ADHD moment. Side note, you want to talk about consecutive wins? All right, this also comes back to the whole Kansas City Chiefs winning so much thing. All right, I wanted to say this for a second. Guess what? The Chiefs have not lost since Christmas last year. It is November 13th, 2024, and the last time the Chiefs lost a game was when they lost to the Raiders on Christmas. We're that's over 300 and, let's see, 22, 23, 24, 325 days since the Chiefs have lost a game. Blows my mind, but I digress. Anyway, the Black Knights have a bye week this week, and next week, this is the biggest game so far for Army. They take on Notre Dame. If Army can pull off the victory over the Fighting Irish, I'm telling you right now, with a 12-team playoff field, you have to at least consider putting Army in there. I know being at number 24, it's a long uphill battle, but I think they should at least garner some sort of recognition of it. So that's how I look at it. Last but not least, let's see. I wanted to talk about Aaron Rodgers because, yeah, why not? Okay. This is interesting. Aaron Rodgers is going to be he's 19 days shy of his 41st birthday. Now, Aaron Rodgers has had a very rough season, and he's coming off major Achilles surgery. And he's also playing in the fact that the Jets are 3-7 right now. Okay. He's already made it clear that he wants to play next year for his age 42 season. Now, I remember when Aaron Rodgers was drafted near the end of the first round in 2005. I was still in elementary school when Aaron Rodgers first made his debut. Or when he was drafted, at least. I've been out of high school 11 years now. In 2 years, it'll be 10 years since I was out of college. So, damn. That is crazy to think about. Aaron Rodgers is 24th out of 32 passers in QBR, which is the quarterback rating. He has 15 touchdowns, 7 picks, and only 6.4 yards per attempt. And if anybody who knows Aaron Rodgers knows a thing or two about him when it comes to throwing the football, 7 interceptions is insane. He has gone entire seasons throwing 30 touchdowns with 2 picks. So, and he's made it clear he knows he's not doing good this year. And the Jets fired their head coach 5 weeks ago. They are 1-4 since firing head coach Robert Saleh. So yeah. It is not. It's not good. This is the first time in his 20 years that Aaron Rodgers has been 3-7. So it's a lot that has to be figured out for the New York Jets. I will tell you that right now. So with that, folks, like I said, it's been an abbreviated show today, but I can tell by the live views we got, people are tuning in, and I really want to take this moment to express my thankfulness and gratitude for that. We at I-70 Sports Media are really revamping. I can't go into all the details right now. You can add me on Facebook or follow us on our Facebook page to know more of the details. But we are doing a whole revamp. We're bringing new people on board. We got a lot of great surprises in store. Heading into 2025, we are really going to make it. We are thriving. So before we go, though, as always on this show, first I want to say you can follow us on Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Pocket Cast, and anywhere else you may get your podcast. So please, I implore you, and I would love it if you would subscribe and follow us. If you want to advertise with us, just shoot our Facebook page a message. Our marketing manager will be with you. Follow us on Facebook, on X, and also on YouTube. And Roundabout Sports has a Facebook page as well. But as always, we close the show by using the NAMI helpline. And for that, we dial 1-800-950-NAMI. 1-800-950-NAMI. The National Alliance on Mental Illness is the nation's largest grassroots mental health organization dedicated to building better lives for those who struggle. And of course, we put up the suicide and crisis lifeline at the bottom of the screen as well. And for that, you dial 988. The line is open 24/7, 365, 366 in leap years. Understand you're never alone in this world. There is always somebody out there who loves you, who cares about you, who wants nothing but the best for you. Because we have all been put on this earth for a reason. We all have a great purpose in life. And yes, we all struggle, but this is not a struggle that we should have to travel alone. You are just a phone call or a text message away. And you could also be the listening ears and watchful eyes for somebody else that's in need. Um, so once again, I want to thank everybody who tuned in this evening. We'll be back next week for episode 112 of Roundabout Sports. It'll be an hour-long show at least, and we look forward to what we have in store in our future. But until then, I'm the Maestro Jeremy Karp, and remember, life is a book full of empty pages just waiting to be written in. Make your lives worth reading.